basic demonstration on how to set up the Ischebeck HVErect system. And before you actually start setting up, there are just a couple of things that you want to appreciate so that you can very efficiently set it up. So the first thing is we will set up that our main direction will go towards the camera. So one of the things you want to make sure of is that nothing is in your way to where you want to go setting up the system. The second thing you want to make sure is that you have your equipment. So you have your main and secondary beams in the crates on wheels, and you have your shores close by. And what you should be doing with your shores is you should set them to the height you need for your forming, for your slab. So you should set them to slab height. Of course, you had already put the drop head on top of the shore, and then you can adjust the height, the total height of the shore, so that the top of the drop head is your slab height. And that means you are the thickness of your plywood higher than the actual slab. And then at the end of the day, when you do your fine adjustment, you only have to lower your shores, which is easier than trying to lift your shores up. And that's what we basically have done here. We have selected, in this case, 6 shores, and we have adjusted them to all the same height. And actually the easier way of doing this is not doing it on the ground, but doing it on sawhorses if you have them available. Then you can use the sawhorses to put the shores on, to mount the drop heads, and I show the drop head mount later, and then you can bring it to the guys who are actually setting up. Now, as far as the setup is concerned, typically we start with a tower, which means we use 4 shores and 4 frames to make a sturdy structure, and that is our starting point then for the runs of main beams. And we will demonstrate to you how to set up these towers. And helpful in any case is if you have a hammer, you actually need a hammer, a measuring tape, a chalk line, and with our equipment come those 2 pieces of wood, which give you a template on about where to mount the frames on the shores. So Mike and I will now quickly, or quietly I should say, work a little bit to set the setup up, and you can watch us doing this, having a cold drink while we are working in the sun. So what we have done so far is we have taken 2 shores and spaced them about 6 feet apart, and then took a second set of shores and placed them 6 feet away from the bottom of these. And you see that they are oriented bottom to bottom, because what will happen is we will tilt the tower up this way and then attach this side this way. The reason we are using 6 feet is because those frames give us 6 foot distance. So our shores are laid out so that we can build the initial tower. Here's what you have to look for. Remember, I said we are setting up a run this way. What I mean by that is that our main beam direction is this way, coming towards the camera. So you have to make sure that on your drop head, the big lip is pointing this way, because this is where your main beam will hang on. So we take a frame is one of our DB frames. And you see it has these wedges. And you want to position the frame so that the wedges, when you install it, point to the bottom of the shore. So in this case, these wedges have to point away from the camera. So when you install the frame, you open the clamps, and then you can place the shore into the clamps. It's really easy. And then, because you want to be the frame position nicely adjusted on all shores, you should take this template to position the exact frame position. Once you have done this, you can close the clamps, and Mike will demonstrate this. You have to really fix and fasten those wedges, because we don't want this shore to turn against the frame. So you have to make sure that it is really tightly closed. Mike. And leave your template in, because it will prevent the frame from moving down while you hammer it. And of course you can use a bigger hammer, then it goes quicker.
Oh.
So now we have created our first element of the tower. And now we do the exact same thing on the other side. Perfect. Now we have created two sides of our initial tower for the setup of the HV system. And now, because we used our templates, we know that these two frames are sitting at the same height on all four shores. So now it's just easy to finish the tower. The clamps to go on the inside. So now we take the second set of shores and mount them vertically to the existing, and you can see is that we position them right above this frame, because then you know that we position them right above this frame as well when you stand it up. And now please just fasten the wedges lightly. The only thing you need is that the frame stays and doesn't fall down on you. You don't want it so tight that when you do little adjustments that you turn the shore that is lying, because then you turn your drop head. And then you get misalignment in the tower for the main beams, and that's then difficult to correct. And now you see we have the frame, the base of the tower, or most of the tower lying on this side, and the missing side, or the side that's missing there, is lying here. And what we will do is we will tilt it up so that this comes down, then we will tilt this up, mount the two pieces together, and our tower is done. Before we do though, we should check that all the pins in our steel shores are properly in place. Like this one here came apart on us, and so now the shore is quite a bit further out. So we have to bring this back and make sure that the shores are properly set. We check again that our main beam direction is this way when we are standing up. And we do that on both frames. We also should, while we set up, while we mount the frames, make sure that the drop heads are in the proper direction, because otherwise it will be a little bit difficult to set the main beam. But we will try it now with what we did. And so Mike and I will pull this up. And because he is the stronger of the two of us, he will now on his own bring this piece up, walk it in, so that we can set the frames. Right on top of this frame, see I have my clamp sitting right here. Nothing to it. Then I close it. Do that on all sides. This side is already done, of course. So, and here stands our tower. If you want, you can take a hammer and fasten these a little bit. Here you see how the drop heads are connected to the shores. We use two number 8 bolts with nuts, and the nuts have to be tight so that the drop head cannot move. Now with these towers, because it's such a rigid structure, when we set the main beams on these, sometimes we have to loosen those screws. If that is necessary, you have to remember to tighten them up again after the main beam is set. And we will show you now how to set the main beams in. So here's our first main beam, sitting in the drop head. Nothing to it. Of course, for the demonstration, we did set the height of the shores a little lower so that we can hang them by hand. And here you see what I was talking about, because it's so rigid. It's sometimes a bit difficult to set these main beams in. But now they are in, and we just put 1 or 2 secondary beams in. That's okay. make sure that the secondary beams sit properly in the groove on the main beam. So now we are all set to start flying down the row, and we show you how this goes. Like if you would handle these guys. Take a main beam. You sit it on the lip and let it down slowly. And then it will hang there, and you can actually pick it up with the drop head. And I will assist a little bit because we are a bit low here. And you just stand it up and adjust it by eye. Then we do the same thing on the other side. And this time I just hold it. And again, you adjust the shore approximately. Now we take the secondary beam hang the secondary beam, hang a second one, and have initial stability in the system. What's important is that these shores are about plumb. Don't kick them out too far because you will damage the drop head or the main beam, and you don't want that. So they need to be about plumb, not 100%, but good to the eye. And so this way now you continue the length of your row, and once you have your row standing, then you can add the rest of the secondary beams to the specifications of the drawings. And that's really all that is there and to it. Setting up our Ischebeck HV forming system. Thank you.